Hey all you guys out there, my name is Derek Sigafoo. I'm coming at you with yet another video, or really, finally, another video. I decided to come to you guys today on my big hair day, apparently, because, I don't know, I just have a lot of hair today. But, either way, I actually came to here to talk to you about TF2, Team Fortress 2, my favorite game. And just in case you don't know who I am, just give myself some credentials before I go into my whole rambling. So I'm a competitive TF2 player. I play in Platinum Division, which is the highest division in North America. I finished third, second, and third the last 3 seasons, and I love it. I love Highlander. It is so much fun. Highlander is a game mode of 9 versus 9, one of each class. There can only be one Highlander. Yeah. But anyways, so there was a big announcement that came out today. If you guys don't already know it, this is the announcement. Matchmaking is officially going into Team Fortress 2. Let me say that again. Matchmaking is officially going into Team Fortress 2. This is amazing! Like, seriously, guys, like, I'm so fucking excited. Like, I told my friend, he actually called me up because, like, I was, like, just so excited. I'm sorry. That's so relevant details. But I'm, like, so excited about this. People get excited about games coming out and stuff like that. I don't know. I get excited about my favorite game being supported by Valve finally. This is why it's so big. The competitive community inside of TF2 is incredibly small compared to the large number. I mean, TF2 is probably like what? It's consistently in the top 5, if not the top 10 of most played game, or of a played game in Steam. Like, that's huge. That's so many people. But I can't tell you how many people that I've, like, it's casually come up in conversation or whatever. Casually, more like aggressively. Sorry, I don't know. Bad jokes. Alright. But no, it's like, it's come up in conversation when I talk with people. And, like, I'll be like, oh yeah, I play competitive video games. Oh, what video game do you play? Team Fortress 2. People play Team Fortress 2 competitively? Like, I can't tell you how many times that's happened when that's come up. People just don't realize that there actually is a very, like, passionate competitive community behind the scenes. It's just because it seems like TF2 is just this fun, goofy game where you wear hats and you know, just blah, blah. Like, no, the TF2 is an amazing game. It's an incredibly fun competitive game. But the problem is, it just doesn't have the exposure. You know, I think if every single person who played TF2 knew that competitive was an option in it, I think we'd see a much bigger competitive community. And that's what matchmaking is going to bring us. So there's a couple of reasons I love this matchmaking. So there's a competitive side to it. But there's also this side that says Valve cares about you. For so long, when dealing with playing TF2 and all that stuff, I mean, I've been playing it since it's since it started about 7 years ago, and I've been playing competitive for the past 4 to 5 years. I have 4,200 hours in this game, which actually to many TF2 players is like not that crazy. It's actually pretty normal, or not that much, depending on how you look at it. But so I have played this game a ton, and I can tell you that I very rarely has ever felt supported by Valve. Valve, it seems to have just been like going through the motions, you know, like it seems like they kind of have just like done just enough to keep the community like active, but not enough to actually like make the community bigger or make the community better, or to like try to make it better. Like, what have they done in the last few years to actually improve TF2 in any substantial way, right? Like, they do like Halloween or holiday updates. They've added weapons that for the most part nobody uses because they're not that good. You know, it's like they really haven't done too much, you know, and it's like even they have like incredibly overpowered weapons in the game, but they don't nerf them or they don't fix them. You know, it's like they try to do stuff, but it's really not well done, or it's not balanced out correctly. And it just seems like Valve is just like, okay, well, we're gonna just take all the money that we make from keys and hats and all this stuff, and oh, you guys want something? Oh, well, here's a little nibble. You know, like, it feels like they're not outputting what we're giving into the game financially, or like even just passionately. I mean, the competitive community is like a very passionate group of people. I mean, we not only do we have multiple leagues in the system, we have an incredible broadcasting setup now. There's been hacks and mods put into the game to give features that like should have been in the game for a long time now. And Like, all of this is done through passion, through a love of the game. There's no real money to be made off of TF2. People don't do this to get rich and famous because there's no viewership in TF2. People do it because we love the fucking game. We sent 2 teams over from North America twice to Europe to go play in a tournament in Europe, a Sixes game, and they also had people be sent from Australia to go play in this tournament as well, to have an international TF2 Sixes tournament. Like, just think about that for a second. We had this small subset community raise like $20,000 to be able to send people like over the ocean to go play this game that we love. Like, I mean, that is amazing. That is so cool that we have such passionate people in the community to do this. But it always felt like it was just the community that had that passion. Valve didn't. And that sucks, you know? It sucks to love something, to do something, but to not be supported by the very creators of it. You know? Like, it just sucks. And so that's kind of how I felt about TF2. Is like, I love TF2, and it's honestly, in my opinion, the best multiplayer game that I've ever played. But it always felt like we were like the afterthought. You know, CSGO gets everything. Dota gets everything. But TF2, the original, fuck you. You just give us money and we'll kind of give you just enough to get by. And that's the way it's felt for a while. You know, and it's like, we just like are asking for basic stuff, you know? I mean, like, it's seemingly basic stuff to try to help, just help a little bit for the competitive community, you know? Hell, even if Valve just said, here's $10,000 for a prize pool, right? Like, if it just helped that much, that would be huge compared to the $1 million or whatever they give out. I mean, they had a $10 million Dota prize pool last year. Now, obviously, that's not all Valve, but I believe Valve helped a lot in setting all of that up. And now, I'm not expecting Valve to do that for TF2. I'm just saying, if they did, like, 10% or 5% of what they do for Dota for TF2, it would be a huge, huge monumental step forward. Hell, even 1% of what they do for Dota would be that much more for TF2. And that's just it. You know? And so here we come back. So let's get back to matchmaking. So we have this matchmaking now being officially put in. Valve cares. They give a shit. You know, I feel like that guy on the doorstep in like Love Actually, like holding up the sign, like, I love you, you know, but I can't tell you, you know. But like, finally, Valve, Keira Knightley loves me too. It all works out, right? That's how the movie ends. Something like that. But here we go. So we have matchmaking. Matchmaking is going to be absolutely huge for TF2, and there's a couple reasons. First off, matchmaking and competitive gameplay is the new endgame to any game. You need to have this in any game to give it a nice lifespan. Not only does it give like more legitimacy, in my opinion, to most games, because like if you can have a strong competitive community behind a game, I think it really does add something to it. It makes the game watchable. You know, I can tell you that I've watched, you know, beyond TF2, CSGO, Hearthstone, and like a little bit of Smite as well. I've watched like some of the finals and some of the big games because I like the game, but I like to see people who are really good at the game. But adding that matchmaking component, adding that competitive feature, gives legitimacy to the game. It's not just some pub game that you run around in. It actually is something bigger. Now, obviously, we already had competitive, but going back to my initial point is that people didn't know that. People didn't know the competitive community, or that there's even a format of competitive gameplay that exists inside TF2. Now, on the main screen, my understanding is that there's basically just going to be a button there that a user can press, and they're going to be instantly queued up to go into a matchmaking game. Now, how exactly, what format they do it in, all that stuff is not decided yet, or has at least not been released. But it still is a huge step forward than nothing. But this is also going to be able to get the average user involved in competitive play very easily, which means that we're going to be able to support and have, so we're going to have bigger leagues because we're going to have more people interested in competitive TF2, which means more money involved in it, which potentially means more sponsorships, aka more money in TF2, which is going to help grow the scene even more because more people are going to know about it. It's going to get more exposure. And then also the other cool thing is that we're going to see more interesting meta. We're going to see a higher skill cap because the more people that get involved in a sport, the better that rise up, the better it gets. Like, this is so phenomenal to the game, and it is so necessary to it. And then on top of that, they're also adding in a stream tab to the main menu as well, so like people can jump in and they can see like a competitive player play on Twitch or something like that. I think that's going to be absolutely huge to try to promote and see, like, here's what high-level players look like when they play the game, you know? And we already have so many who do that, you know? Like, I don't know. I think it's just going to be nothing but goodness for the sport. But beyond just growing the scene, I think, one, that is good, but Valve wouldn't be developing this just to like do it and then throw it away. Or at least I feel like that'd be a really poor business choice, right? So they must be developing this to develop it forward, which means that TF2 not only is going to get matchmaking, but it's going to be supported potentially more aggressively than it was in the past. More item changes, weapon balances, different stuff like that. Which is so exciting. I mean, how often have they balanced weapons? And when they do, are they actually effective? Like, almost never do they balance them. And when they do, it's usually like shit balances. But now, finally, they might actually, it sounds like they want to pay attention to that stuff. They want to have more balancing in the game. And they're going to do all of that. And so it's like, if you look at CSGO when it was first created compared to where it is now, it's like night and day. The game is almost completely different in so many aspects from when the game was first initially created to where it is now. And that's because of matchmaking and the improvements they made throughout that. And it's possible that TF2 could have that same like transformation. Where, I mean, I don't think TF2 is going to change as a game in the pub sense, but I do believe that in the competitive scene, I do think it's going to change and evolve. And I think that if they do better item balancing, that we can see even more challenging and interesting metas. I mean, just think if we could play in a competitive TF2 game with no weapon bans. I think that is the ideal world. I mean, whether or not you do pick and choose weapon bans, but I'm just saying that every weapon is actually balanced and usable in some fashion. Like, what a fucking cool idea is that? You know, beyond just like any of that stuff, like, oh, that's overpowered, we need to nerf that. No, like every game, every weapon is fair in its own way and has its own uses, and we can all use them. Like, that's so cool. And so that's just it. I am fucking pumped because for so many different reasons, Valve supporting it, growing, competitive usership, like there's so many cool things that are going to happen from this. And that's why you should be pumped too. And if you haven't gone into competitive play, if this is the first time you've heard about it and you're even remotely interested in it, check out the website playcomp.tf and then check out tf2center.com. Playcomp.tf is a kind of a broad overview guide of like competitive gameplay, and tf2center.com is a great site for pickup games. Now, again, the thing with this is that these are hurdles, and you have to do a little bit of research before you jump into it. You can't just click a button. And that's a problem with competitive right now, is there is a little bit of kind of a jump before you can actually get into that. But either way, this is a huge step forward by Valve. I am so excited about it, to see where this takes us, to see where this goes. And I want to be a part of it. I want to keep playing, you know, and that's kind of the reason I haven't been making as much content lately, and kind of that stuff is my passion for TF2 has kind of dwindled because it just kind of felt like, why am I, like, I'm not being supported in this game. The competitive community, like, I don't know, it kind of felt off. I don't want to say it was dying, but it felt off. But now, the competitive community is going to grow, and it's going to grow pretty substantially, pretty quickly. And where it goes from there, it's going to be really interesting. So I'm going to be here for that ride, and I want to play in that ride. Like, I am fucking ecstatic. Let's go. So thank you guys all for listening to my rant and my ramblings. You can check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/sigafoo. Watch me play some competitive games. If you have any questions and stuff, I'm always happy to answer them on stream and stuff like that. I love to get people into competitive play. If you guys didn't already know, I had 3 Siga crew teams that came through my, 3 viewer teams I've gotten to competitive. So if you haven't gotten into competitive, you definitely need to try it out. It's a ton of fun if you just give it a chance. I don't think I have anything else to say on this, so I guess I will see you guys next time, hopefully with some better content, and definitely check me out on Twitch, and you can see me there pretty consistently. Alright guys, later.